Hey everyone, and welcome to another video. So today what I wanted to talk about is just framing your mind differently when you're actually looking at how a story works in a way that's going to help you write quicker and write faster and get through your first drafts faster, as well as being able to go into that rewriting process and move through the rewriting process quicker. So what I have learned as I've been working with people one-on-one, as people have been working in the practical screenwriting course and these sorts of things, is that I found that really how a lot of rewriting works and how a lot of writing works is you have your core idea, and then after that, what you're doing is you're problem solving, okay? So that second half is skill set, that is problem solving, and that is more of the technical work really of how to write a story and really just how to do any sort of art form. So I think we have gotten into this false idea on writing, that writing is this like fully emotional, fully inspirational art form, and that simply is not the case at all. So what's fascinating is if we look at other art forms, we can see more clearly how it works, and for some reason we miss it in writing. So if you're looking at a sculpture, right? If you're looking at Michelangelo's David, right? So when Michelangelo was going to create this famous David sculpture, when he started, he had the idea, right? He had the idea for the sculpture that he wanted to create. And then after he did that, him actually doing that, him performing that, him creating this piece was skill set and problem solving. So it was his skill with a sculpting tool. It was his understanding of perspective. It was his understanding of scale, of shape, right? All of these things were not part of his idea. They were not part of the inspirational part of his art. What they was part of his skill set, was part of things that he had learned, problems he had solved, so that he could then create this masterpiece, right? He didn't come into this being like, oh, I'm inspired to make this statue, and immediately he starts and has no understanding of what he's doing and just sort of feels his way throughout the entire thing, right? Of course, there is some feeling and some emotion and inspiration involved in any art form, but it must be tied to an understanding of the problems you're solving and a building of your skill set so that you can actually do high level work. And that is the thing that I think a lot of writers miss, especially writers that are before their first draft or have just finished one screenplay, is that they assume that the first draft process is really the writing process, and the rewriting process is like fixing a couple scenes, maybe changing some dialogue around, but really the story happens in that first draft. Whereas what I think you should focus on is understanding that your first draft is really just getting this creative, inspirational idea out onto the page. And then what you're doing is you are learning the skill set, and that is what's going to make it actually a better story, right? So once you have all these characters and this plot and this philosophical conflict and this concept, you then have to focus all of that. You then have to build that story in a clear way. You then have to build that story based upon the rules of momentum, right? And all of these things are going to be part of the skill set and you being able to examine what is and isn't working and identify problems and then solve them more objectively, right? Because there is objectivity in art, there is objectivity in writing, and you can achieve certain outcomes and you can create the story that you want to create when you understand why you're making the choices that you make. See, the problem with a lot of writers who, when they want to solely run off of inspiration and creativity and feel through their entire story, is that their story loses focus, their story doesn't have clarity, and they don't know how to actually fix anything. And really what it comes down to is they don't understand the why of the choices that they make. So if there's one thing you take from this video, I think it would be that you need to understand the why of the choices that you make. Why should a scene be there or not be there? Why should this story happen at all? What is the purpose of this story? And I think what happens is writers just write because they like writing, and then they fix their story because they try to feel out what is and isn't working, and then they get feedback from people who just sort of feel it out as well and don't have any sort of objectivity, any sort of clear system of identifying problems and fixing them. And all this comes down to not understanding the why of the story and having no focus in regards to what the goal and direction and vision for this story is, right? So the reason I talk about things like philosophical conflict as applied to characters and building strong structure in your story is because when you're building a story, you should come into it understanding why the story is there in the first place. It could just be entertaining, right? And there's a lot of fun roller coaster rides that are films that I love, and I'm sure that you love too. But you also want to understand, like, when you are building a story with a theme, with a real philosophical conflict and characters going through real dilemmas, you need to understand the why of why you're writing this story, and then why certain characters are there, why certain scenes are there, why are you going with a certain structural momentum versus something else. You have to understand the why of these questions. And once you understand the why of your story, you can focus your story around it. And the way that you identify problems is anything that is not focused on the why of your story gets cut or gets changed, right? And so this is how you can actually build an objective system to clearly find and fix problems in your story. Because it's about understanding the purpose of that story and then fixing based upon the purpose, right? So what you want to cultivate, right, is a clear understanding of the skill set of writing, right? You want to understand how to problem solve. You want to understand how to rewrite. And you should also get comfortable with the idea that your story is nowhere near finished when you get that first draft done. You may have to rewrite half of it, 70% of it. You might have to do multiple page one rewrites. I've done that multiple times. And you make those decisions from two things. One, from an understanding of why this story needs changes, what the purpose of the story is, and then two, you make those changes based upon what you know is the better way to do it, because you have built a skill set of screenwriting. You've built a skill set in understanding how to apply real conflict to characters and how to place characters into a momentum structure that actually brings emotional ups and downs and creates character change as well as story change. And all of that, the reason that screenwriting education or screenwriting books or the YouTube videos that I make, the reason that they are beneficial is because there is a skill set side to writing. So your idea, this idea that you have, is just the very beginning. And it's an extremely important part of it, because the idea that you have and the why behind that idea and the thing that you want to say is why you learn all the skill set. It's why you spend the time figuring out problems. It's why you write bad screenplays and shove them in a drawer and never see them again to write the next one that actually works. So that is how I think you should be focused on the writing process, right? It is not just idea after idea after idea. It is not just you feeling out the next moment and feeling out the next moment and feeling out the next moment. What it is you have idea, you have inspiration, and then you funnel that idea and inspiration through a clear understanding of how to rewrite, a clear understanding of skill set, a clear understanding of what is objectively and not objectively the best thing for your particular story. So if you want to gain a method to actually finish your first drafts much quicker, as well as getting a systematic way to rewrite your story and clearly understand the purpose of your story, clearly focus your story, and understand your story's problems, then I have a video for you to watch that will give you the 3 things you need to finish that feature-length draft. So click the top link in the description if you want to check that out. I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.